Alright everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is the Jordan Report and I'm your host, Robert Jordan. Everyone please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Alright, Trump is back in another confrontation with another black official. And I like this about Trump because Trump is not scared of these people. He don't let them cow him. But this one is Eddie Johnson, Police Chief Eddie Johnson of Chicago. Trump visited Chicago today to speak to the police chiefs of the country. Johnson, who lives in Chicago, his hometown of Chicago, didn't show. Trying to disrespect Trump. But anyway, I'm going to show you a little something about the background of Eddie Johnson. And then I'm going to show you a part of Trump's speech where he's addressing Eddie Johnson. It's going to be something you're going to want to hear. But this is an article from last year about Eddie Johnson and his history of corruption. Use of force. This is from The Intercept. Chicago police attended Eddie Johnson's long record of justifying misconduct and shootings. I'm just going to give you a couple of paragraphs. I'm not going to go through all this stuff because it's a very long article, and I'll leave the link and you can read it for yourself. Chicago detective Detante Servin shot Rakaya Boyd in the back of the head late on a warm night in March 2012. Servin was an off-duty detective, a 20-year Chicago police veteran who lived on the block of the shooting just off Douglas Park on city's west side. Boyd was a 22-year-old African-American woman hanging out in the park with some friends. She was unarmed. I'm going to scoop down a lot anyway, and I'm going to show you how this all resorted and what Eddie Johnson's been doing in Chicago. Most of us wouldn't know this if we didn't live in Chicago. In fact, the Rakaya Boyd case was not an aberration. An investigation of Johnson's record, drawing on documents obtained by the Invisible Institute via litigation and included in the Citizens Police Data Project, shows that he repeatedly approved police shootings or ignored allegations of excessive force over years as a supervisor, consistently finding that they did not qualify as misconduct. He was one of these black officers that covered for these bad shootings. That's probably why they made him police chief. Okay, he was the one who helped them keep this stuff under wraps. In a decade as senior CBD supervisor, Jesse personally investigated or commanded the officers responsible for 6 controversial shootings that left 5 people dead, all young African Americans, and cost Chicago more than $13 million in misconduct payments. Moreover, Johnson's tenure as commander of Chicago's 6th Police District from 2008 to 2011 was marred by serious allegations of misconduct by an elite tactical squad led by a scandal-plagued lieutenant named Glenn Davis. People, I do a lot of stories on Mexico, and it sounds exactly like third world Mexico, where the police are caught in between these corrupt police departments and a drug cartel. That's the choice they have. During 6 months in 2010, members of the roughly 45-person team participated in the fatal shootings of 3 men, all unarmed or fleeing. During the same period, the entire rest of the CPD killed 4 people. Another of Johnson's officers was credibly accused of killing a teenager and planting a gun on his body. After his promotion to deputy chief in 2011, Johnson reviewed and approved more disputed shootings, including the killing of Boyd, and in the case of which an officer fatally shot a teenager in the back. Johnson was recently called to testify in that final case, but otherwise neither Johnson nor Emanuel, who was mayor at the time, has ever acknowledged the superintendent's involvement in some of the department's most notorious recent police shootings. He's part of all this, man. He's part of what's happening in Chicago. Johnson's history in the department raises troubling questions about the future of police reform in Chicago. Although Emanuel has announced that he won't be seeking re-election, he will nonetheless wield considerable power over Chicago's new police oversight agreement during his remaining half year in office. Emanuel also appointed Johnson with the unanimous approval of Chicago's City Council. The city councils, they're always corrupt in these cities. Remember, these are one-party cities. They're all Democrats. Okay? There's no check and balance. These are all Democrats. Circumventing the official process, ignoring 2 outside reformers carefully vetted by Chicago's police board. No politician or newspaper No politician or newspaper raised the issue of Johnson's involvement in some of the department's most recent scandals, notorious scandals. That's because the Democratic Party is not going to mess with these people because they bring in the black vote. He's not rocking the boat. The newspaper is part of the Democratic Party. We can all see that. So you need outsiders like people like Trump to come in to bust us up. This is why I say Trump is doing us a tremendous favor. Can a man whose career embodies the CPD's failure to rigorously review and investigate officers' use of force, the unlawful pattern the recent Department of Justice reported at the center of reform agenda transforms the department? Okay? That's what the people of Chicago are dealing with. They're caught in between a criminal city government and criminals. And so I'm going to show you what Trump said about this dude today. It's only 5 minutes of like an hour speech, so please look up the speech.
But there is one person that's not here today. We're in Chicago. I said, where is he? I want to talk to him. In fact, more than anyone else, this person should be here because maybe he could learn something. And that's the superintendent of Chicago Police, Eddie Johnson. A few days ago, Johnson said, quote, "The values of the people of Chicago are more important than anything President Trump would have to say." I don't think so. Because that's a very insulting statement after all I've done for the police. And I've done more than any other president's ever done for the police. Over 100 years we can prove it, but probably from the beginning. And here's a man that could not bother to show up for a meeting of police chiefs, most respected people in the country, in his hometown, and with the President of the United States. And you know why? It's because he's not doing his job. Last year, 565 people were murdered in Chicago. Since Eddie Johnson has been police chief, more than 1,500 people have been murdered in Chicago, and 13,067 people have been shot.
That's why I just read you that article about his history there. He's a dirty cop.
During the first weekend of August 2019, 7 people were murdered and 52 were wounded in 32 shootings in Chicago. And recently they had 78 shootings over a weekend spree and 3 people killed. And Chicago has the toughest gun laws in the United States. That doesn't seem to be working too well, does it? And a lot of you people know exactly what I mean. But under Johnson's leadership, they certainly don't protect people. Then you have the case of this wise guy, Jesse Smollett, who beat up himself. And he said MAGA country did it, MAGA country. Okay? He said MAGA, it's a hate crime. That's a hate crime. And it's a scam. It's a real big scam, just like the impeachment of your president is a scam. And then you look what's going on. Smollett is still trying to get away with it. He would have been better off if he paid his $100,000 bill. Chicago is, unfortunately, the worst sanctuary city in America. Chicago protects criminals at a level few could even imagine. Last year in Cook County alone, ICE asked local law enforcement people to please, pretty please, we beg you, we'll do anything necessary to stop crime. We want to stop crime. Please detain 1,162 people, please. But in each case, the detainer was denied. And Eddie Johnson wants to talk about values. No. People like Johnson put criminals and illegal aliens before the citizens of Chicago, and those are his values, and frankly, those values to me are a disgrace. I will never put the needs of illegal criminals before I put the needs of law-abiding citizens. It's very simple to me. So when Eddie Johnson and many other people from lots of other regions and areas support sanctuary cities, it's really, in my opinion, a betrayal of their oath to the Shield and a violation of his duty to serve and to protect the courageous police officers of Chicago. And I know some of them, and they're the most incredible people. They could solve this problem quickly. It's embarrassing to us as a nation. All over the world, they're talking about Chicago. Afghanistan is a safe place by comparison. It's true. Police officers of Chicago are entitled to a police superintendent who has their backs and knows what he's doing. You're entitled to a police superintendent who sides with you, with the people of Chicago. The people want this. And with the families of Chicago, not the criminals and the gang members that are here illegally, and not the stupid politicians that have no idea what the hell they're doing.
All right. Trump is saying what your black leaders are supposed to be saying. But they're caught in the Democratic Party. So we need Trump as an outside force to come in and bust this stuff up. He's a powerful man. He could do this. And he's not afraid of these people. Trump is doing us a tremendous favor. We just don't know it.